Well, according to the news, this is going to be Apple's headquarters this summer. So the iPhone 10 is getting canceled, supposedly. Is it true? In this video, I wanted to address those rumors because the amount of information and misinformation online is quite frankly ridiculous about this whole thing. Apparently, Apple is scrapping the iPhone 10 in its entirety just because of poor sales and poor projected sales going into 2018. So is that true? And also a 512 gigabyte iPhone 7, the world's first 512 gigabyte iPhone. It's ridiculous and it's a true working mod, so I wanted to cover that, as well as details on the new 6.1 inch iPhone coming later this year. And the new iPad has been mentioned in the code of 11.3, so I wanted to cover that all in one little video wrap up. So the iPhone 10 is getting canceled. What's true and what's not behind this rumor? Right now, the rumors are saying that around summertime, Apple is gonna cease production of the iPhone 10 and then just hold over the supplies until the new one is coming out around September. Now, the truth is this all came from an article published by Ming-Chi Kuo, or a report where he detailed what Apple's plans are with the lineup later this year. And the truth is the iPhone 10, he says, has no place in that lineup because it can't be sold at around $800 at a discount because it'll cannibalize the sales of both the low-end 6.1 inch iPhone model and the replacement to the iPhone 10, the iPhone 11. I mean, that one will be sold at the same price at $1,000. And if there's this option at $100 less than the new one, why would people go for that one? It will be so similar look-wise that Apple won't be able to sell it. And this year, Apple learned a valuable lesson with the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10. The sales of this thing were pretty bad in comparison to other flagships, but that's because they had two other great phones at a cheaper price, and they cannibalized the sales of both the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus and this one all together, all at the same time, by having so many phones to choose from. So Apple's going to be learning from their mistakes this year, and they're basically going to remove the iPhone 10, yes, cancel it at the end of its life cycle, which will be in September. Not now, as some of the articles are saying, later this year, because there's just no place for it. I mean, a lot of the other iPhone sales are going to be reduced because this one exists. And John Gruber of Daring Fireball actually wrote an entire article about this, and I wanted to mention some of his points because they are so true. This isn't the first time Apple has done something like this. With the iPhone 5, they only sold it for 1 year. Afterwards, with the iPhone 5S and 5C, they replaced the 5 after 1 year with the 5C. So that happens, and he also brought up a point where the original iPhone was only sold for 1 year, replaced by the 3G, and that one didn't sell anymore at the stores. So Apple is totally aware of what they're doing. Yes, canceling the iPhone 10 sounds bad in the news right now, but it's something they have to do in order to sell more iPhones this year. And the fact that Apple will only sell 18 million units of the iPhone 10 in Q1 2018 isn't such a big deal because they're also selling the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus at its side. So yes, historically for an Apple flagship, that's not too good, but they basically have 3 flagships selling at the same time, and they're still breaking records with all 3. So the bottom line is it has nothing to do with the sales aspect of it, that the iPhone 10 isn't selling well. It's about the new iPhones coming later this year and simplifying the lineup, making it easier for the consumer to choose an iPhone without having an onslaught of new iPhones. So this picture right here, this is basically what the lineup is going to look like this year, predicted by Mac Rumors. So there will be quite a lot of devices to choose from. It's basically divided into low-end, mid-tier, and high-end smartphones. So a new report about the 6.1 inch iPhone that's going to be sold for around $650 to $750 coming later this year has surfaced. Now, it's going to include a new LCD technology called Full Active LCD. And what it allows for is super slim bezels, up to 0.5 millimeters on the edges. That makes it even thinner than the iPhone 10 on the sides. It could look pretty sleek. It'll have an 18:9 aspect ratio, so it'll have a 2160 by 1080 resolution display. Now, the one interesting thing is, I don't know if it's because Apple won't include it or just because the technology is not capable of it, but the 6.1 inch iPhone coming later this year will not have 3D touch in the display, and that may be because Apple wants to further differentiate the lineup and make a clear middle tier and top tier smartphone category. And there's a couple other details. The frame will be made of aluminum instead of stainless steel of the iPhone 10, again distincting those two categories. And there will only be a single camera on the rear instead of the 2 that are on the Plus and iPhone 10 models. So we don't have any concepts of that right now, but we will be working on it and I'll bring it to you guys in the future. Now, iOS 11.3 Beta 1 came out yesterday. Already developers are digging inside of it and finding code referencing new Apple products, in particular the new iPad Pro coming later this year. Again, hopefully it looks something like this. It's not a guarantee, but the rumors are good that it will look something like this. Now, editor Felipe Esposito of iHelpBR has actually found code code in reference to modern iPad inside of it. And developer Rambo also confirmed that this could have reference to the new iPad with Face ID, rumored by Bloomberg and Ming Chi Kuo that the new iPad will come with Face ID. So I'm very curious to see what the turnout is on that, how it'll look. It should be awesome. All right, and this one is ridiculously cool. So I've seen iPhone mods from installing a headphone jack on the iPhone 7, of course the glowing Apple logo mods, clear glass back mods, but this has to be one of the coolest of all of them. Hacking an iPhone to receive capability that even Apple doesn't have right now. A 512GB storage chip was installed in an iPhone 7 by Federico Serva. So with a collaborative effort, he was able to install a chip even Apple doesn't have in an iPhone on iOS 11.2.1. And it works. I mean, it's just a storage chip, so there's no reason it shouldn't. The software somehow does support it, and hopefully in the future we'll be getting something like it. And who knows, maybe Apple won't even release it for a couple of years. So this is like next gen technology in a current iPhone. And the process of actually doing it is pretty ridiculously hard. You basically have to take the current flash chip, copy the contents of it onto a media, and then transfer that onto the 512GB chip. Now we got that chip from a certain website that supplied it to him, and the whole process, watching on video, is pretty cool. I'll link it down below. I thought it was really, really cool, and having capability that even modern smartphones, modern iPhones do not have. He even took it to an Apple store where they were pretty shocked about that. So I thought that was cool as well. Anyways, guys, that's the latest. Yes, the iPhone 10 is getting canceled, but not right now, and not in a way because, the sales are so bad. It's just a natural evolution of what Apple does, and especially since they've done it in the past with other iPhones. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Just a little update on the happenings of Apple this week. Peace.